I never thought I'd hear those words from someone I trusted with my life. "You're replaceable," Nicole said, her tone cold and dismissive, like I was nothing more than an option, a convenience she could discard whenever it suited her. I froze for a moment, stunned by the audacity, the cruelty, and the finality of her statement. For months, things had been tense. Nicole had grown distant, her excuses more frequent, her time away from home longer. I had tried to talk, to reason, to reconnect, but every effort seemed to fall flat, like I was speaking to a wall. I thought perhaps love, patience, and loyalty could bridge the gap. That night, I realized how wrong I was. "You don't mean that," I said, keeping my voice calm though my chest burned with anger. "Oh, I mean it," she said, smirking as if daring me to respond. "I could find someone better in a heartbeat. You're nice, but nice isn't enough anymore." Her words were a dagger, but they also clarified something I had been avoiding. The truth. Our marriage, which I had fought so hard to preserve, had been hollowed out from the inside. Nicole's feelings were gone, replaced by disregard, arrogance, and the kind of entitlement that leaves no room for reconciliation. I looked at her calmly, steadying my racing thoughts. "If that's how you feel," I said softly, "then we're done." Her smirk faltered, replaced by surprise. "Wait, what do you mean?" "I mean, tonight you'll have to leave," I said, "because I won't stay in a house where I'm considered replaceable." She laughed nervously, trying to mask panic with bravado. "You can't be serious." "I am." I had reached the point where words were no longer enough. Her deceit, her emotional absence, and her dismissal had all built up to this moment. I wasn't reacting out of anger. I was acting from clarity that night. I packed my essentials into a small bag, calmly collected hers, and handed her the keys. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I didn't negotiate. The decision was final. Nicole had made her choice. Now, she had to face the consequences. As she drove away, I felt a strange mixture of relief and sorrow. Relief for reclaiming my life. Sorrow for the love that had died, not from lack of care, but from betrayal and indifference. The house on Willow Creek Drive in Columbus felt different immediately after she left. Quiet, empty, and strangely freeing. For months I had carried the weight of her distance, her disregard, and her casual cruelty. Now, with the absence of her presence, I could breathe without tension, think without distraction, and begin to process what had truly happened. Friends reached out, offering support and advice. They reminded me that love alone couldn't fix everything. Sometimes action was necessary when boundaries were violated and respect was lost. I realized they were right. I had tried to salvage something that Nicole no longer valued. And the moment she called me replaceable, the choice had been made for me. The following days were a mix of routine and reflection. I took care of the house, handled the children's needs, and reestablished my own sense of control. It wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming life. I didn't need to prove a point. I didn't need her acknowledgement. The simple act of walking away while maintaining dignity was proof enough. Then came the calls and messages, pleas, apologies, and desperate attempts to reconnect. "I didn't mean it like that," she texted one night. "Please, let's talk. I can change." I didn't respond immediately. I let the messages sit unread as I reflected on her words. Actions, not apologies, define character. Her attempt to manipulate the narrative now, after months of neglect and emotional betrayal, meant nothing. The line had been drawn, and she had crossed it too many times to return. her desperation became increasingly evident. Friends reported her frantic attempts to reach me, to explain, to regain control of the situation. But by then, I had learned a vital lesson. The person who truly values you doesn't make you feel disposable. They don't undermine your worth, and they don't dismiss your presence in their life. I spent evenings quietly focusing on rebuilding, not just routines, but confidence, clarity, and boundaries. The void she left was filled not with anger or obsession, but with space for growth. The night she left marked the end of a chapter that had been slowly deteriorating for months. It wasn't just separation. It was liberation. Weeks passed, and Nicole's attempts to reconnect became increasingly desperate. Calls, texts, and even messages through friends all conveyed the same message: regret, confusion, and a hope to undo what had already been done. But her words were hollow, lacking the proof of change that I needed. By then I had realized that reconciliation was impossible without true accountability, and she had never taken responsibility for her actions. One evening I received a final message from her. "I never realized how much I needed you until you were gone. Please, can we talk?" I read it carefully, noting the fear and vulnerability behind the words, yet understanding that vulnerability alone could not erase months of emotional abandonment. Actions speak louder than words, and hers had already spoken volumes. That night, as I prepared dinner and set routines for my children, I felt a profound sense of peace. Nicole's departure had not left emptiness, but clarity. I was no longer weighed down by betrayal or uncertainty. I had taken control of my life and my happiness, refusing to allow someone else's disregard to define my worth. In the days that followed, I noticed a transformation in myself. The anger that had simmered beneath the surface gradually faded, replaced by reflection and strength. I rebuilt my daily routines with intention, focused on my children, and rekindled connections with friends who had been sidelined during the marital tension. Life continued, and with it came growth, healing, and resilience. Nicole, meanwhile, continued her efforts to reach me, but her pleas were now met with calm, unwavering boundaries. I had learned an important truth. The people who truly care about us demonstrate it through respect and consistency, not manipulation or fleeting words. And someone who disregards your boundaries, who devalues your presence, cannot simply be reintegrated with apologies alone. By the time the divorce was finalized, I had moved past resentment. I felt empowered, having acted decisively in a moment that demanded clarity, courage, and integrity. Nicole's departure was not a failure on my part, but a necessary step in reclaiming my dignity. Looking back, I realized that sometimes the harshest moments in life are the ones that teach us the most. The night she left, the words, "You're replaceable," that cut deep, had sparked a transformation. I emerged stronger, wiser, and free from the shadow of betrayal.